Good morning, good evening, teachers. I welcome you to EduRight Foundation's Unlocked series on how to manage Google Classroom. So it's an e-learning session. I am Kirti Jairaj. So before we continue, just want to hear from you all whether I am loud and clear in this session. Please let me know your comments through the chat, the YouTube chat. Please let me know if I am loud and clear. From there, we will move on. Maybe I'll also type in the chat. Okay, thank you. I started getting some responses that I am audible. So let's move on to the session. I'm going to share my screen and we will share a brief background about our organization, and we will also provide you a high-level overview of today's agenda, and we will move on from there. Let me share my screen. Okay, great. Yep. So a brief introduction about me. I'm Kirti Jairaj. I am the co-founder of the organization, EduRight Foundation. I co-founded this organization along with my friend Ramu Ilango, and I'm also an IT professional. We have been running this organization since 2015. It has been registered here in the US as well as in India. We are a nonprofit organization incorporated in the state of Texas in the US. Our focus is on serving the student and the teacher communities. We provide skill development coaching to students to empower their career, of course, for teachers as well, like the one session that we are providing now. And we have also been providing financial assistance for high school and 3-year college degree programs for underprivileged students in India. That is for the arts and science students in India. And our organization is the official partner with Tamil University, Tanjavur, in the state of Tamil Nadu, for bringing Tamil education in the US. And we are also partnered with government of Tamil Nadu and other educational institutions and similar nonprofit organizations who work towards likely cause. And we are a team of educators, scientists, linguistics scholars, artists, and IT professionals. And this session, why are we with this e-learning session? Uh, we have been running this e-learning program since 2018 for the rural schools in Tamil Nadu. So we want to make sure that the future is not left behind for us. So we have been running this for the last couple of years. And through this session, we are empowering the teachers to manage e-learning through Google Classroom. Um, of course, we started for Indian schools, but now in the current scenario, we are expanding it globally, thanks to technology. All right. So the high-level agenda for today is we're going to see what is e-learning for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. When I say Gen Z, the Generation Z kids. Generation Z is something like people born between 1995 until 2010. And Gen Alpha is like someone who is born after 2010. And we will straight away dive into the demo on creating a Google Classroom and assigning the class work. So I did review most of your expectation comments. You have said you want to go through the rubrics evaluation process. Yes, we will be covering all of those in the session. Okay, the next one would be the student work. Of course, when you assign a classwork, it is going to the students. So we need to see how the students can respond to the assignments, the test, and all those activities that you assign for them. And we will move on to the evaluation after the student work. Student work has to be evaluated. We need to see the grades, and we will look into how to import the grades, how to bring the auto grades, and how to do manual evaluations. We will cover those topics. And assignments and certifications. Um, of course, right after this course, as teachers, you will be receiving assignments from our side, and we have set up a timeline until June 30th for you to complete those assignments. And based on the successful completion of the assignment, you will be awarded with the e-certificate. And finally, question and answers. Um, Due to the interest of time, I would like to take the question and answers at the end of the session, but please feel free to post your questions in the YouTube chat. We will definitely go over the questions, and for some reason, if we are unable to take your question, we will get back to you offline because this chat is going to stay. Thank you. Speaking of Q&A, let me just move one of my slides. Just give me 1 minute. Thank you. All right. Let's see. What is the disruption in today's learning? Uh, in this current scenario, the world is seeing an unexpected phase. The world is in an unexpected phase. So the current disruption, the major contributor for the current disruption in learning is nothing other than the COVID-19. Looks like my screen share is ended. I'm sorry. Sorry, here we go. Yeah, COVID-19 is the current challenge. So what are the factors it has contributed so far? So obviously it has given us a learning interruption. It has given us a confusion for teachers that how teachers are going to take up their learning methodologies to the students. And it is also contributing to the poor nutrition for students. In many countries, students, I mean, the underprivileged kids, they come to the school also for nutrition purposes. The midday meals, the lunch that the schools provide are one of the key factors that bring students towards education. And when that being stopped, or if the family is hurt with an economic situation, it all impacts the nutrition of the student, which would disrupt their learning. And of course, the parents are totally not prepared for this scenario. It could be they had a job loss, or they don't have the infrastructure to support their kids. So there are several aspects to it. And along with that, the social distancing challenges. Um, all we know until February 2020 was we are a society which is formed of like mingling with each other. The education system allows you to talk to each other and then move on from there. And today we have the social distancing practices, which is also causing all sort of confusions for us. So how are we going to handle that? And of course, there is a gap in child care. The children are not able to get the care that they used to receive in the past. And there is also a strain with the health care. Um, it could be both for the students as well as the parents or somebody who is actually infecting in the society. So all these are one of the strains that disrupts the learning behavior of the kids. And of course, this has caused stress for the school system because the management and the teachers are not sure how to continue forward. They don't have a teaching plan when this COVID-19 struck. So that is another important factor. And due to this, there is also a rise in the dropouts, especially in the rural side. We do see some rise in school dropouts and violence and exploitation. I don't have to say much about this now because we are witnessing one here in the US. There's a huge violence that has been going on. There's a protest which has been going on. It could be for all different reason. I'm not trying to get into the reason here, but there is a huge violence and exploitation which is also going on in the other parts of the world. And the students are not going to school. There are some unwanted social elements who could misuse them. So it's one of the important factor in the disruption. and social isolation. Okay, um, social isolation is pretty much like a mental pressure that is being exerted on that kid. The students were like, especially if you take elementary school students, it's really hard for us to make them understand why they are not going to school, why they are not seeing their friends, why they are unable to interact with others, which they used to do. So that isolation is also causing a stress within the students. Of course, it goes to parents, teachers, and everyone. And finally, there is a validation challenge. As a teacher, you may be trying some remote methods to keep your student engaged, but you do not know whether the student is getting the actual education that you want to deliver to them. You really want to test and validate them, but it is it is a huge challenge right now. So what is happening here is like we are totally in an unprepared scenario, and we are also seeing an impact on education due to this COVID-19, which is widely unfelt since the World War II. So for the past 60, 70 years, it's a paradigm shift in education. And of course, this is not just my data, it is also, the data actually comes from UNESCO. So UNESCO has recently released this, and I want to call that out. And what is the solution we are moving from here? Uh, that is that would be the next phase of it. And we are concluding at this point, we need an e-learning solution. So let's see how we can take the e-learning to Gen Z and Gen Alpha students. And why do we need this EdTech? Today, if you see, there was a recent survey conducted by Global Indian International School where they found 60% of the Gen Z, that is a kid who is born between 1995 to 2010, um, they say they pretty much collaborate for knowledge sharing online. And there are about 50% of the Gen Z kids who also uh, feel that they cannot live without YouTube. And there are 93 percentage of the students who believe they can understand technology well. So, which means the students has the ability to learn technology, they can adopt themselves to technology. And technology is a key aspect in COVID-19 situation, and it has actually emerged as a bridge in education for future generation. And this is also bringing all communities together. Um, the other one that I want to highlight here is 65 percentage of elementary school students, which whom I would call it as Gen Alpha, that is someone who was born after 2010 in the last decade. Um, their jobs have currently not been invented. They do not know what they're going to work. 65 percentage of the students do not know what they're going to work after 20 years. So how are we going to prepare themselves for the future? And how the teachers are going to get these students onboarded. So one key aspect of it is like you need to educate them and empower them with the life skills. When I say life skills, it is not just doing an occasional training alone, but there are other aspects to it. You need to foster their creativity and critical thinking. The students should be able to think out of the box because that would lead them to the new path. And they should be good in their communication and collaboration. Their communication is going to become the key aspect, and they really need to collaborate with each other in the society. It could be online. But in the current scenario, it's a social distancing, but still, um, we will get a vaccine soon, and they should really collaborate with people. They need to know the people skills, and that gives us the empathy and emotional intelligence as well. So they should be able to empathize on the issues which others may face, and they should also have the level of emotional intelligence which would take them to the next phase of their life by relating themselves with the social issues or whatever happening around them. Resilience. Um, this is the key aspect which I personally think is required for any student. Failures are pretty common. Failure is not end of the world. they're not done with the failures. If a student has failed, he or she should be able to come out of that failure and be able to say, okay, I can do this. Or maybe if I have failed in this, this is not just the end of my life. There is a different path where I can shine. So they should be able to come into that bounce back mode. Flexibility and adaptation. When I say flexibility uh, and adaptation, it's pretty much like the student really cannot be reached. They need to be taught how they should be able to gel well with the community, how they should be able to, how well they can be flexible about their career or their lifestyle, and they should be able to adapt to the situations. They cannot be reached and say that, okay, this is the only path that I want to choose, and all those things has to be put in the back burner, and they need to be flexible and adapt to the situation. And finally, entrepreneurial skills with risk-taking ability. Uh, of course, today a student may not be really good in a specific subject or specific academics, but they should be able to explore other opportunities. They should be able to take some risk. Okay, I know that math is not my favorite subject, uh, so it doesn't mean that I just have to stick with my math to continue on and just be scoring 50% or 60% as a minimum pass grade while I ignore my other passion, uh, which could be in a different field of study. So they should be able to know where they need to show their risk-taking ability. And again, it is very subjective. It is case-to-case basis, which you may really want to connect individually with each student. And finally, the continuous learning and the improvement part. Learning doesn't stop when they finish their college or the school, the college, or even it doesn't stop when you get your PhD degree. It has to be continuous. It has to be till the end of your life. You really have to learn about what is going around yourself, your situation, I mean, your job roles and in the world, and continually you need to improve yourself. Of course, even in the corporate world today, we've been taking a lot of certifications. We kind of enhance ourselves with our skills, which also becomes one of the corporate parameter for our evaluation. So this continuous learning and improvement cannot stop. And it is also time for all educators to reinvent themselves, because we need to tackle the current challenge while we prepare ourselves for an unprecedented future. And finally, the kids should know the need for giving back to the community to make sure there is no kid left behind due to the lack of infrastructure. Let me give you an example. Today, online education or e-learning is for the privileged. It's kind of tagged for the privileged. Today, there are a lot of debates going on. Even there are some group of people who want to force the government to stop online learning or e-learning. But I don't see that as a solution. You cannot tell government because that there is a few group of students who cannot learn, so you should not take this online learning to everyone. But instead, what they should do is like, how can we take this online learning to the students who do not have access to the infrastructure, that is to internet or for a mobile device or a computer? What are the ways for us to get to them? You need to start thinking. You need to give back to the community. It's not because you have something today and the other kid does not have the same kind of infrastructure, you should be able to move on. No, that should not be the case. Even here in the US, let me tell you, I was looking into one of the CNBC reports last month where they said there are 1 in 5 teenage students do not have access to the digital learning environment. And even for the US school districts, it would take 2 to 3 years for them to get 100% of preparations to get, I mean, 2 to 3 years of preparation for them to get 100% of delivery of online education to every student in the US. But today we did not have that time, unfortunately. Okay, with all my introductions about e-learning and uh, our organization, let me jump on to the Google Classroom now. I'll switch off from the presentation mode and I will get into the demo mode now. Okay, sorry, just give me 1 minute. Okay, if you have noticed, I'm using a Google Chrome browser here. The reason why I really prefer Google Chrome is that is very well compatible with the Google Classroom. So I would really suggest you using this Google Chrome browser. So, we will go to the Google Classroom by going to the URL classroom.google.com. I'm going to use my login. Okay, so this is the welcome page. You already see 2 different Google Classrooms, which I created the last couple of weeks. But just imagine you don't have these 2 classrooms, and we will go straight to create a new classroom. I click on this plus sign on the top right corner, and I go and create a classroom. I'm going to name my classroom here as, I'll put today's date. And I'm going to call it for standard 8th grade. And let me put subject as English. So if you notice, when I type this English as the subject, it is giving me suggestion, but I'm going to ignore the suggestion. I'm not going to pick anything from the drop-down. And I click on create to create a classroom. The classroom is getting created, and now we are in this classroom. So this is the home page of the classroom, which would welcome you. And we have like 4 different tabs. The stream is the home page, and the classwork is where you assign the assignments and the tests to students. People is where you add the students and co-teachers, and grades finally. Currently, we don't have any grades. That's the reason you're not seeing anything here. And let's do the first things first. Um, so this is our classroom name, and this is the class code. If you look here, class code, this is the unique ID which would say this classroom belongs to the one that you just created. So you may want to make a note of this classroom code when you create it, because this would really help you in retrieving if you have multiple classrooms, because this name could not be unique, but this one is unique. So please make sure you are noting this one. And the Meet link. Okay, so here's the power of Google, right? Google is providing us a complete learning management solution with this the Google Classroom. Meet link is the web conferencing link, which would allow you to share that with your students, where they can join either online or phone numbers. Phone numbers, unfortunately, not every country has it, but US has it. But we'll just keep it as an online web conferencing Meet link here. So I click on the Meet link, and it is asking me whether I want to set it, create one. And I say, yes, generate a Meet link. And please make sure the toggle visible to student is on. Otherwise, the students will not be able to see the Meet link. And if they want to join outside of the classroom directly through the Meet link, it could be a difficult task for them. So please make sure this is turned on. And I'm saving this Meet link. And it's generated right here. So this is the first thing that you may want to do. And other features about this is you can create some schedules and announcement. You can respond to the students. And if you see this box, it's pretty much like your updates. You can share your updates, post your updates, like how you do with your Facebook or Twitter today. But I'm not doing it right now. Let's finish all the first things first. People, I go here. Wow, thank you. Someone has already taken the Google code, and they have also joined. Okay, I see some comments saying that the PowerPoint is not visible and they cannot hear me. Am I audible or no? Am I audible? Uh, yeah, in the meantime, someone has asked a question. How about security? Security is powered by Google, so we don't have to worry about the security aspect of it. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I get those comments saying that I'm audible. Okay, so let me move on. Okay, thank you. So yes, as we see, there is already a user who has joined. Let me just make sure that you're able to see the PowerPoint clearly. Okay, uh, PowerPoint not clear. Let me see if I can increase my screen visibility. I hope this is visible. Yep, thank you. Um, okay, yeah, thanks for joining the class, but I would really request you not to join this class right now because that would actually interfere with the grading of this class demo classroom that we are setting up. Please don't have to join with the, I mean, you don't have to join the class. Let me put that as a comment here. Just give me one. Okay, so I'm going to add couple of students here. So let me also tell you how these teachers are joining this class. I mean, how these students are joining these class. Um, they they saw the class code here, and they went directly to the Google Classroom and typed this class code, and that is how they are able to join this class. So instead, I will start inviting the students. This is going to show you how to invite the students. I have like a couple of demo users whom I'm going to invite to this classroom. Okay. I can either do a direct type here, or I would also be able to copy paste. Let me show you how to do that. It's a regular copy paste, no fancy stuffs. So I'm copying these two email IDs. And I'm pasting it here, and it gives me add to recipients. I click on that, and I'm sending an invite right away to them. So these are my students who has been invited. If you see, oh, I'm so sorry. It should be my domain ID. I'll remove them. These two users are the ones that I gave a wrong domain. So I'm going to remove them by selecting those students, and I'm removing them here. Instead, I'm going to give the actual intended users. I'm going to add them, copy paste, and I'm sending them the invites. So if you notice here, it is giving the name of the student, like student 1, student 3, student 2. This is actually taking the name directly from their Google accounts. The eduright.org domain is part of the Google G Suite. If the student have a Gmail ID, or if they're using any email IDs from a Google Suite, the name would be getting displayed automatically even before they accept it. So now we got the students added, and you can also add a co-teacher. So if you want to invite a teacher to your classroom who also want to handle the same class that you are, you can still do that. Let me invite one of a co-teacher here. Yeah, I'll just invite Ramu. And it says that I have invited this teacher. Once he accepts this invite, he should be able to join the class. And from here, let's move on to the classwork. Here's the important piece that we really want to see. So when we go to the classwork, we have options. We have a Meet link. So you will come here and you will start this Meet link if you are delivering a live session to the student. And this Meet link is enabled directly with the one that you already created here. So this is the Meet link that comes up here. I'm not going to enter into this conference now because that's going to clash with the audio. So I'm not going to enter here, but I'm just showing you can try it on your own. Let me close this Meet. And you have a Google Calendar. The Google Calendar is going to allow you to create the schedules that you want to come up with. You can also start doing your rosters, any events that you may want to schedule and share it with the students. You can do that here. And there is a class drive folder. The class drive folder would go to the individual Google Drive. Say when you invite the student, I have students invited from student 1, student 3, student 2. So this would go to each of their individual Google Drive. It is not shared across all students unless they decide to share a specific document or a folder with others. The privacy is ensured there. But as a teacher, when you go in, you will be able to view all the classwork that you have assigned to the students in this Google Drive folder. So let me close this. And coming back to the classwork, and the options over here are we can create an assignment. An assignment is nothing but you may want to you may want the students to come up with an assignment explaining about a certain topic. You can do that. Quiz assignment is the test that you actually want to conduct. The exams that you want to conduct can be done through the quiz assignment. Question is not really an exam, but it is a discussion forum or that question that you may want to ask the class. It can be bidirectional, meaning you can talk to the student and the student can talk to you, as well as the student can also communicate with other students. So there are some settings and restriction if you want to control the students not communicating with each other. We'll go through that a little later. And the material is if you may want to post any material, say if you want to put a book over there, a PDF or version of the book, you can do that. Reuse post is you can reuse any of the already created assignment, and the topic is something that you really want to categorize each of these tasks into a topic. So let's start with the topic. I said this class is going to be an English class. So in English, let me take example of creating a uh, essay topic, essay writing, or let me just go and use it as countries. Sorry. Okay, I created a topic here. And the first thing that I'm going to show is how to assign an assignment to the students. I click on create assignment. The title is uh, explain the positive features of your country. So this is an essay that I'm going to request the students to write here. Instruction, I can provide an instruction like how they need to construct this essay. And I will, I can also provide the points here. And I'm not going to take it as 100. I'll just leave it as 10 points. And If you see here the for, I'm seeing multiple classes because I already created other classes, which is also showing here. In case if you want to assign the same assignment to multiple classes, you can select those class names like this, or you can just select a specific class. And when you select a specific class, you can select either all students, or you can select individual students. Okay, if you notice here, I only see the students who have already joined this class, but I'm not seeing the students who I have sent the invite. Which means if I assign this assignment, the one whom I invited and who has not joined will not be able to will not be able to see the assignment. So before you create the assignment and the quiz, or I mean the exams or any other classwork, please make sure the students accept your invitation. And let's see how to do that. I'm going to switch back from my teacher mode to the student mode. Let me open up another window. I'm going to use a different browser. Um, let, and I'm going to log in as a student now. I'm going to the student ID. Um, Student that we invited are the demo users. The student is logging into his or her email, and the students see a class invitation. So this email is going to allow them to join the class. Open the email, and I get the message, hey student, so the teacher has invited you to this classroom, and would you like to join? And it is also giving you additional information. It says if you accept, your contact information will be shared with the class members and the application they authorize to use the classroom, which means they will be able to see your contact information. And if you don't want to receive emails from your classroom, you can unsubscribe. Just make sure they're not doing it. Um, the problem is if they unsubscribe to your class, they are not going to get any notifications about the postings or the classworks that you assign to the classroom. So please make sure that they're not clicking this option. I will go and join this class now. Okay. Now, as a student, I have joined this class. And if you notice here, as a teacher, I had 4 tabs. It had a grade, but the grade tab is missing here. I only see the stream, classwork, and people. People are the one, I mean, my friends or the students who are in the same class, I'm seeing them here. And I have accepted it. And now let me switch my hat to teacher, and let's see whether student 1 is featuring in my student list. Yes. If you notice here, student 1 has joined and the student is featuring. And let me also do that again. Um, there is, sorry, I really need 3 demo users because I'm need to show the average of the grades. That is the reason I'm repeating this exercise again. It is not just to try to move on with the time, but I need the data. So I'm going to accept all 3 students. Okay, so this student is actually not going through the email. The student has actually gone directly to classroom.google.com. That is the reason the student is able to see a classroom which is already featuring in their section in their portal. The student can either join or decline, but I am going to request this person to join. Uh, I I see some.
comment saying my PPT is not clear. Um, is it not visible? Are you not able to see? Sh- Uh, could you please type in the chat whether it is clear or not? Is my presentation, is the visuals clear? Are the visuals clear? Okay, I'm getting a couple of comments saying, okay, so I will go with that. Sorry, if you're unable to see that, you may probably want to check your settings. If you can zoom your Google Chrome, the YouTube window, that would really give some clarity, or you may want to put this YouTube into a full screen mode rather having it in the small one. I'm sorry, please try that. Thank you. Okay, now I have also accepted as a student too, and it is actually showing the homepage here as no work here. There is no task that has been assigned, and the student will be able to see the new assignments which are posted here. So student 2 is accepted, and student 2 is also able to see all the rest of the classroom students. And let me sign out, and I go directly to the classroom.google.com and add another student. Yeah, there are some questions saying that they have a poor coverage, poor signal. Yes, the video session, YouTube session is actually getting recorded. You can go back and use the same URL and view that. Okay, now we are in student 3's login, and I'm joining the classroom. Okay, great. All students have accepted the classroom. So I'm going to sign out and wear my teacher hat back. Okay, now I'm in my teacher login. Um, if you noticed here, it says saved. So Google has this excellent feature. You don't have to worry about your work getting lost. It automatically saves your work for, I believe it is about like for every 15 or 20 seconds. I'm not very sure about the exact seconds, but maximum within the range of 20 seconds, the work automatically gets saved. So you are covered. Okay, now I'm going to provide some instructions for this assignment. All right, for detail. Good aspects of your country. Okay, this is the instruction that I'm providing. And I'm selecting all students. And the point that I award here is 10 points. And I'm also going to set up a due date, say end of this, probably middle of next week. And you can also set up a time if you want the due to come up with the time. Uh, Again, this would send a reminder notification to the students when their assignment is due. So this really helps for you to use this due date and time. Without that, you don't have to follow up individually, or you don't have to have any students miss out their assignments. And topic, the topic that I already created was countries. So I'm going to select that topic, or I do have an option to create another topic here, but for now, I'm going to leave it as countries. Rubric. Okay, this is the most interesting part. Rubric. Rubric is the set of procedures, the evaluation procedures that you want to apply for this assignment. So if you take back home when I was doing my schooling, when I was in my high school or middle school, we call it as a step mark. So my teacher would go and say, okay, you covered this aspect of this particular essay. So I'm giving you 2 marks for this step, or 2 marks for this paragraph that you covered. And you covered the other aspects, so which would automatically give you another 3 or 4 marks. So that kind of evaluation method, the criterias that can be defined here by creating a rubric. Um, reuse rubric import sheets, I would ignore for now. We will come back to it later, but we'll just focus on the create rubric. And make sure you are selecting use scoring. This should not be turned off when you are doing a rubric. If it gets turned off, the rubric would not serve more than a reference purpose than actually helping you to automatically import the grades. So I'm going to create one criteria, the first criteria here. I'm going to say um, introduction. Okay. And the description is provide an introduction with history of your country. Okay, and for this paragraph, um, I get other comments that the letters, the fonts are really small. Let me also try to increase a little more on the presentation. Hopefully this would help. Okay, and here, notice this area of the rubric screen. It gives you 1 point because I added the first criteria and the default point here is 1 point. You can increase or decrease the points. I would really want to increase some points here. I'm going to say 3. And the total of the grading has come to 3 now. And the level title and description, it's really optional. If you want to use, you can use it. But I'm going to skip that for now. And the plus signs that you see here are pretty much the advanced features. You may really want to think twice before using this advanced feature. Uh, that's because of 2 reasons. When you try to add a level like this, and if the points are not tallying up, that may create some issues. So you really want to check whether you want to add it or not. And there are some of the G Suite, that is the Google Suite Advanced Education package has this inbuilt features. So you may want to go with the G Suite for Education or G Suite for Education is like it's free in most of the countries, but I'm not very sure about India. But it's free in most of the countries. Or if you're using your personal Google ID to create the classroom, I would refrain from using it for now unless you can explore it by yourself. I'm sorry, I have not explored that to that level yet. So for now, I'll delete this level. Okay, now I've given 3 points. And remember, we said we have 10 points on this overall assignment. And so to provide other points, I'm going to add additional criteria. I click on add criteria, and the criterion title is first thing we spoke about the introduction. And now let's give some points about um, I need some environmental factors. Provide um, and for this criteria, I'm going to give another 3 points. And now you see automatically it got changed to 6. And at this criteria level, it is a 3, and the overall total grade is 6. And then other benefits, other good aspects. I'm sorry, pardon my construct here on the criteria. I'm just trying to give a very broad thing. And even for this, I'm going to give 3 points. And I see the overall is 9 points. And the last criteria that I want to add is conclusion. The outlook of your country. Okay, it's done. Sorry, I'm going to discard this duplicate. and let me give 1 point for this. Now we see the overall points as 10. And make sure you are saving this rubrics. Otherwise, you will not be able to send it to the student who can see the evaluation criteria, and you will also not be able to uh, automatically use the rubrics during your evaluation. So please save this. And the last thing that I also want to show is the originality report. The originality report is really a good feature which would which automatically makes sure the students are not copying on their assignments. So it would run a check on the assignments within the classroom and make sure on a couple of things. One is it will make sure the students are not capturing, oh, sorry, not copying from their friends. And the other one is it will also ensure that they are not just copy pasting some random paragraphs or random information from the web and pasting it here. So it's going to run a check on the World Wide Web as well as within the classroom assignments. But the downside of this feature is it is not yet available for all free users. It is available for G Suite for education users. The basic G Suite education user can actually have 3 originality reports for one classroom. But if you are trying to use your personal Gmail ID to create the classroom, you will not be able to see this originality report, unfortunately. You can actually request Google if you really want them to give it as free. That's up to you. But now let's move on to the next topic. I can assign this directly for the students to get it, or I can also schedule it for a later date of assignment. When I say schedule, this is not going to assign it immediately. It would you can select a calendar and say that, okay, assign it on a Monday morning. I can still do that. But for now, I'll just assign it directly. Assign. And the next one is, let's go ahead and create a quiz assignment. Quiz assignment are the exams, the tests that you may want to create. So I'll say English test. Complete the exam for your assessment. So a couple of things here. I want to highlight these two as well. I have this add. If I want to add any material from my Google Drive or external link or files, YouTube, I can still do that. But I would not want to add actually a YouTube link in the test. I mean, that again depends. If you have a video which explains the students how to do their test, you can definitely do that. But it's up to you. And again, create. If you want to create any other documentation within this assignment, you can also do that. A Word document or a slide show or a spreadsheet, or if you want to put some drawings or form, you can still do that. But now I'll use the existing blank form which Google provides me here. So first thing first, I'll change the title of this blank quiz to make more relevant sense. English test. Time duration, you can specify the duration of the test, say 30 minutes, or anything that you may want to specify. And the options are the questions that you want to import, you want to provide. You know what, I'm really bad with the question setting, so don't mind me. I'm going to copy paste from one of the other classes that I already have. Okay, so the first question that we want to set up is who wrote daffodils? So I'm copy pasting it. And the choices, multiple choice is going to ensure, make sure that when you're giving a multiple choice, you select this multiple choice option, because that would make sure that it only gives the correct answer. You can use the multiple choice or the drop down, but for now, I'll keep it as multiple choice. William Wordsworth, William Shakespeare, yeah, Leo Tolstoy, any other option that I want to give. Uh, yeah, I gave my favorite poet. My favorite poet is Bharatiya. And the answer key is something that you want to set up here. Who wrote it? Sorry. So I click on the answer key and select the right answer, and I assign the points. I say 2 points. And I can also provide answer feedback. Incorrect answer, please prepare well. Correct answer. Good. And save it. And I click done. And the other question that I may want to add is a paragraph question, or say explain your understanding on Robert Frost. Miles to Go is one of my favorite poem. So I'm going to make sure that I select the answer as paragraph, and I also select it as required. The other thing that you want to ensure is please select all these questions as required, because if you don't select it, the student would be able to skip that question and move on. And the answer feedback, I'm going to give 5 points for this. And feedback is, again, please prepare well. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Just say good. Done. And one more question I would like to add here is, okay, there's a question about math. A lot of questions. Yeah, can we set the Google Form test assignment? And what about math? Yes, math is unfortunately, it is not really clear at this point for Google Classroom to handle the equations directly. So you may not like my answer, but for now, this is the solution that I have seen. As you really want to go back to your old school method, you may want to have the student write it in a paper and upload it here. And let's see that option, how to do that. Provide um, I'm sorry, in English test, I'm giving math question, but it's okay. It's just for the demo purpose. Uh, what is Fourier series? It's one of the math questions. The student may not really be able to provide all the equations here, but you can set up a file upload option where they can continue to upload files from their drive. And remember, the file size has to be set when you are uploading a file. When you're setting a file upload option. You can say you only want a specific type of file, like a document or a spreadsheet or a video or an image. You can select that. And the maximum number of files can also be set here. Like a student can add like 1 file, 5 files, or 10 files. And the GB. If you note this one, it says the form can accept only 1 GB. As a G Suite user, for me in my login, it allows me to change the file size limit. But for the personal users, it may really not be able to change that. So I would just leave it as like one of the available options here, and I'll just say 10 MB. And when you say 10 MB, this 10 MB is going to be calculated across the domain, I mean, across your classroom, and it will stop receiving responses if the file size is huge for the classroom. When I say that, if like 10 students are uploading several files, and if it had exceeded your Google Drive limit of, say, or the files range that you were able to accept, the new students will not be able to submit any more responses. Say student 1, 2, 3 had already occupied the overall Google Drive space of the classroom. Students 4, 5, 6 will not be able to submit their response. So you really have to be cognizant about using this file size upload, and you really want to educate your students on the size limit on the file size upload. Please make sure on that. Um, yeah, and the other point that I want to bring up here is there is a fear that the student might actually go and Google out the answers and copy paste here. Unfortunately, this exam still needs to be proctored. Um, there are some other options which Google has for the higher Google Suite education tool, where you can lock a device. If you have a Chromebook, they allow you to lock a device, which will make sure the students are not able to go to other websites and other help areas. But here it has to be proctored, meaning you really need to set up that Google Meet link, and then come and then monitor the students, or at least request the parents or somebody who is responsible to ensure that no malpractice is handled during this examination point. So that is something you really want to check. So I'm going to select this as a required, and before I send it, I'm going to preview this exam file. I mean the question answers that I said, and it looks good to me. I can either send it by selecting individual email IDs, or I would just save it here and then uh, let the student take it as an assignment. Uh, but as taking it as an assignment, as I said, if they're doing it in the future time, it gives you the possibility of the students doing a little bit of mischievous action there. So you really want to take that call before deciding which one works better for you. Okay, I'm going to close this, and this English test is completed for this demo class. And now I'm going to say the overall points are 7. Due date, if I want to set it up, no, it's okay. Rubrics, I'm not going to set up a rubric here because I already have the evaluation points within the Google form. And so I'm going to just have the grade importing option enabled and assign it to the students. They're going to see it. Okay. This is one more method. I mean, 2 assignments that we have seen. We are 1 hour past and we have 30 more minutes. I'll try to complete as soon as possible, but we just want to take if anyone wants to take any quick break, I just want to give it 2 minutes of break before we continue on. It's just 2 minutes of break. We will come back and join. Okay. So I'm just going to give 2 minutes of break. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I did read some of the questions. So there was a question which was asked, how can we mute the Google Meet link? Um, when you go to your Google Meet web conference session, at the bottom of the Google Meet screen, you have the option to mute the participants. Unfortunately, I did not do that during this break, but you would be able to do it in the Google Meet. And how to see student response of the assignment. Yes, we will go to that section next. And there are some other questions which I will be taking a little bit during the end of the session. Let's go back and create one last item for this forum. That is the discussion forum. I want to pose some specific questions to the students and allow the students to discuss among themselves. So I'm going to say provide constructive feedback on the class. And just say provide feedback on the class by collaborating with each other, with the students. And here, if you see the option, it says students can reply to each other. Students can edit answers. So I'm just going to say I'm giving both options to the students, and I'll post it as an ask to them. And I really don't want to give a huge point. I just give it as 10 points. I'll evaluate the students based on their response. Or if I decide not to evaluate, I can just set it up as a 0 just to see their. Oh, did you notice the 0 is not allowed? So you're actually expected to give at least 1 point. That's something that I noted for the first time. And the due date, I'm going to set it up by Tuesday. Topic, I'm going to create a topic here and say general discussion forum. And I will ask this question. Okay, now in the classwork, we pretty much got all the assignments. And if I want to provide a material, I can also assign a material saying, say, now I want to give a short introduction about one of the questions that I asked, that is about the Daffodils poem. So I want to provide a short introduction video or some reference to videos about the Daffodils poem. So let's say a reference to Daffodils. Please watch the YouTube link. And I'm going into YouTube and I'm doing a URL search about daffodils. And I hit search. And it gives me a lot of options. So I want to make sure that which one I'm trying to take here. I'll just take this video for now as a 10th poem. Even though our class is 8th standard, I'd still use this 10th poem. And I'm going to post it. For the holistic view, I'm going to zoom in for you to see all the classwork at one shot. So these are all the classworks that you created, which are assigned to the students. And now let me switch my mode and I will get into the student area. I'm going to log in as the demo 1 user. And this is the classroom that we created today for the demo 1 user, the student 1. And in the home page, the student would be able to see all those activities that has been posted for them. And they also see the tasks which are due for them with the dates. So there's a test which has been assigned for them and there's no due date, which means I want to do it online. And again, There is another due date for the assignment, and there is also another due date for the questions that I asked. So now the student can go back to the class by clicking on the class name at the top and go to their class work. And the first thing that they want to do is probably, I'll just take it as the country's assignment that I want to do here. The student is clicking on view assignment. I already see one class comment. Okay. So the other student had posted a comment here. Thank you. Okay, view assignment is here. Now, this is the overall assignment for the student on this assignment. And the score is like 10. And the rubrics are given here. Introduction, good aspects. So I need to provide, the student needs to provide a write-up on the introduction and the environmental factors, the good aspects of the country, and finally the conclusion. And each point is scored here. So while during the break, there was a question that was posted, how can we not have the student see the rubrics? Unfortunately, if you set up a rubric, the student will be able to see that rubric. I don't think Google has an option to hide it. And if you feel you should not have the students see the rubric, you don't set that in the first place. You can just ignore setting up the rubric. So it's up to you. But again, it's a good practice to use the rubrics because it really helps the students to see the way that they want to construct their essays. Okay, I'm going to create this essay now as a document. So I click on the create and I clicked on document, and it is creating a Google document. And again, when it's created, I'm going to open it. And this is the Word document that the student gets. For the interest of time, just assume I'm writing the whole essay here. Okay, now I've completed my assignment. I can either share it with the class directly, or it would also try to give a sort of a link which others can also see. But unfortunately, you don't want that to be enabled. If you see here, it's only people with certain link can see it. And again, it would allow me to share with the teacher of the classrooms which I have been enrolled. Either I can share it with the whole classroom, the teacher who is the editor of the class, the assignment, or to the specific teacher. If I have multiple teachers assigned, I can share it to the specific teacher. I'll just leave it as the default one by sharing it with the actual teacher who assigned it. And now, after completing the assignment, I will click on the turn in. The turn in is like the student has completed the assignment and submitted the assignment. And again, this will give up this pop-up window. They have to click on this again. Turn in. There is also a communication box through which they can communicate with the teacher. Complete and click on send. And this comment is for all students to see in the classroom. And this one is for the teacher to see it privately. The student can also unsubmit the turned in assignment, but for now, I'll just leave it as submit. Okay, I'm done with one of my assignments. I'll go to the second one. Is a test. Okay, select the answer. Just save this. Okay, I go ahead with my answer. And I also provide a file. Imagine that I completed this Fourier series and I just want to upload a test document. I'll just say something here. and I uploaded it. If you notice, it says invalid file type because I gave it as a PDF for a document and I'm trying to upload image file. That is the reason it is saying it's an invalid document. I don't have a, sorry, for now, just imagine that I have got it. And I can also send a copy of my response as a student. Is it required? Really? Okay. Since I set it as required, it will not allow me to submit the entire answer without providing any answers to it or any submission to it. Save this in my desktop. Okay, now let me save that. Let me upload that. Okay, upload it. Okay, cool. It has accepted and submit. Yeah, there are some questions about can we release the score section wise. I'll get back to that. I'm going to show that as well. View score. The student can also see the scores directly. This one as a multiple choice to which I already submitted the answer. It gives me the score directly, but here I have not evaluated, so that's the reason it is showing as it's showing in red. But don't worry, it is not the wrong one. We still have option to go and evaluate manually. So I'm ignoring it. But these are some of the pointers you may really want to consider before you set up that question. You don't want to create unnecessary confusion with the students. So please make sure when you're when you're setting up your question paper, um, it is actually providing you the right insight for the student. Okay, the student has completed a test. Okay, all good. Now let's take the teacher's hat and we will evaluate the submissions. I go into the grade section and the student one is the only person whom I see as completed. So I go into the student, I go and evaluate the student one work. Before doing that, one other settings that I want to show here is the grade should provide the overall scores. So we need to do a little bit of settings tweak here. I click on the settings button at the top and scroll down to the grading section. Select the overall grade that needs to be shown. I'm selecting as total points. And I want to show the overall grade to the student. So I'm going to select this as yes. I toggle it and I save it before I grade the student. And now you see the overall grade section has come up here. And I click on student one. He or she has completed the English test. So I'll go here. Well, the work has not been attached. Looks like the student one has not did the proper saving. So let's go back and make sure the student one has completed the way it's supposed to be. Just go here to the test. And submit. Okay, since I've already done, it is not allowing me to edit. But for the interest of time, I'll switch to one of the older demos that I had, and I'll show you how to evaluate it there. Okay, this is one of the other tests that we conducted for the other demo classroom. So let me open and show how we did that grading for that. I go to the grade, and here on the student one, the science test. Sorry, it's still not allowing me. So I'll take the student two and I'll complete the science test for the student two and I'll show that option. Yeah, the other problem, okay, I see a comment that this is the same problem that they have seen it already. The other thing that I see is one other option is the question itself has been set wrong. We did not have the same type of the question format that has been updated with this classroom. So let's also try to redo our question here and try to update that. As a teacher, I'm going back and I'm going to create another test. Let's take the fresh one. Yeah, I'm just trying to respond to this comment. A simple one. Okay. I'm going to select the answer key as 5 and I set it as required. I'm going to set another question as well. Just say, oh, if you notice this common questions, it gives you a suggestion. Google itself gives a suggestion, so you can select that as well. And I'm also setting this as required. Save it. Back here, I'm going to assign only to student 1, 10 points. So make sure that the points that you give here, as well as the points in this questions that you set up here, the answer key points are the same. If you have inconsistent point, that will also give us a trouble. So I give 5 points, and the overall is 10 points here. And I select the grade importing. And I assign to only one student. Assigned. I go back as a student. Okay, the student has got the test. Let me go to the classroom of the student. Classwork. Yeah, English test 2 is assigned. I click on the test, open the test form, select the answer. I say send a copy so that I receive the copy of my answers. I'm submitting it right away. I want to view the score. So I gave one right answer and one wrong answer. And I click on mark as done. The student needs to click on mark as done to turn it back. Now let's take the teacher's hat and see the English test 2 score. Okay, now right here we see the English test 2. I go to student 1, the test 2, view details, no grade. I select the student. I'm sorry. I'm doing something wrong here. Let me go back to my PPT and make sure that I'm following the right option for the turning in. To do task. I think it's looking for all students to complete. Okay, just this part I will go and explain in the PPT where we captured the other demo. Due to the interest of time, we have already running past the time. So just this part, I'm not going to troubleshoot online, but I'll show you how to do that through the PPT. If you have any questions on this, we can definitely collaborate after the session as well with our volunteers. Okay, so right here on the English test, remember we assigned the grades, so we want to import the grades from the predefined points. So I'm opening up the view assignment. And when I open up the view assignment, it is going to give the complete list of students whom we have got here. And if you notice the initial, out of the 10 points that I assigned for the test, none of the points are displaying here. But there is another option to import the grades. It will give us import grade option. When you click on the import grade, it is going to allow you to bring all the scores into the grading area. So right here, after I click on the import grade, it has given me the scores. If you notice here, the scores are the actual ones that I imported from the test. So based on the students' answers, the scores are updated. And once it is done, I can also give a feedback to one of the students who has actually failed in this test. And I'm clicking on return and provide the feedback. So that is the screenshot that it is providing here, showing here. And we return the overall assessment. And now let's just go back to the Google Classroom for rubrics. I hope at least that works. Let me show you that. Yeah, there are a lot of questions about the feedback. Yes, we will definitely send you, sorry, the PowerPoint slide. We'll definitely send you the PowerPoint as your reference. Now I'm going back to the rubric that we assigned. Okay, student one has turned in. So I'm clicking on the student one, and the assignment that we got here is the from student one. Student one, oh, no, sorry. Yeah, so this is students one assignment. Imagine that they have provided all information, and I can automatically assign points from the rubric, or I can also change or edit my points from the rubrics. So introduction, assume that I'm satisfied with the introduction. So I click on the introduction to give 3 full points to the student. Environment, okay, I'm also satisfied with it. On the good aspects, maybe I'm really not very satisfied. So I'm just going to give 2 points here, which I'm manually entering. If you notice, I manually entered. I did not click on the rubric. And the last thing is conclusion. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to give the full points here. Once my assessment is completed, I am going to return this assessment to the student to get the overall score. So out of 10, the student has scored 9. I'm returning it. Okay, so this is completed. Let's go back to the grades section. Student 1 has been evaluated, and we see the score here, but the score says draft. So you need to make sure that you come back and return here for the score to be updated in the graded section. So once that is fully updated, I will go back and see this grade. Um, so this is really not a very great grading screen that you see, because we have not got everyone completing every task. But for now, we assume this student has completed these 2 aspects, and the overall score is about 90%. And there is also a discussion forum that we initiated, which we can allow the students to communicate with each other. Um, but due to the interest of time, I'm really not going to go deep into that, but you should be able to see that option in the PPT reference material that we are going to send it to you all. Okay, now I have got the student one scores done. The scores are calculated, and I want to send this as a summary report to the student. So what do I do is I come back to the student one, and this is the student one area, the 90% score, and I'm going to email the student uh, on their summary report. And please make sure you select the student work summary. When you select that, they will get the overall summary, what you see in your screen here. Otherwise, they will only get the score, not the summary of each and every test that they completed. And one more thing, right here, you have the option of sending an email to the student directly. But if you have a G Suite, you can also send this summary to the guardians. You can assign guardians in the student section. In the participant, the people section. I'll show an example. In my PPT, I have the guardians listed. So I'll show that. In one of the PPTs, I have that. Or maybe, yeah, and I'll show the classroom itself, the actual classroom where I have guardians. So if you see this, the invite guardians, I can invite the parent as one of the guardians to the students, and I can also send the summary to them. But with your free Google Classroom, you do not have that option to invite guardians against each student. So my suggestion here would be go back to your classroom. Go back to the student grade. Right click on the student and print this page as a PDF. So it is going to save it as a PDF. Uh, I'm going to save it as a PDF document, and I open that PDF to see the summary, and I can send the summary report as an offline email to the parent or the guardian of the student. So that's one of the tricks that you can use, even though you don't have the complete feature. um, yep, we are almost at the end of the session. I'll do some last wrap up stuff. Um, just want to show additional features. There is an option for you to communicate with the Google Community Help Center, and you can also request or report any issue about the feature. If you click on the request or report issue, it is going to allow you to take a screenshot of what you're trying to highlight, and you can submit it back to Google. Um, yeah, unfortunately, Google doesn't respond to every request or the feature issues that you submit, but they will work on it at the back end, and they will update your classroom based on the request or the feature if it has been approved. So here, if I want to say that I want to add something in this section, I highlight it, I click on this, and I say, okay, on the people, and please provide guardian to free use this. Okay, I send it, and it is sending the feedback. This way, you can communicate back and forth with the community, the Google Classroom community, with the rest of the teachers. If you click on the help community and Google, it it gives you abundance of information. If you have any issues with your Google Classroom, the first stop that you want to come here is this Google Classroom help community. Just click on this question mark and click on the help community or the help center and search for the issues. It'll give you all previous interactions about that issue or previous search about that issue. So this should be your first stop before you go there. And the last thing is a few other tips as well that I want to show. Um, Please make sure you're using Google web browser, the Chrome web browser. Add backup teachers. And if you see your classroom code or the Google Meet link got compromised, you can always reset it at the stream tab of your classroom. Um, and the guardians and the report that we just discussed now. And you really want to provide the format of your assignments, which we already saw. Um, you can only let the students see the grades when you click on the return button. Um, of course, there is also an option to try the Google Classroom via mobile app. But as a teacher, the only restriction that you may have is you may not be able to grade through the Google Classroom mobile app. At least I did not see as of last week through my mobile app, but it would give you a great insight about your class work, the student work, or assigning any topics, those kind of stuff. You can do that. And finally, as I said, the help community and the forum, please get get your hands dirty. Because when I say hands dirty, just try to communicate, interact with each other in the community, try to explore the Google Classroom option. In this session, we have pretty much covered most of the key aspects of the Google Classroom, but still I have not gone through 100% of the Google Classroom features, but you can try it by yourself. Nothing is going to stop. You may come up with new methods. You may discover new features within Google. So please get your hands dirty and explore with all possible options, and you don't have any sort of limits to that. Even if you see some limitation, you can always report back to the Google community. And the other thing that I want to show is the assignment and the feedback form that you will be getting. After this session, we will be sending you this feedback form and the assignment form. So just fill up this feedback form with your name, type of institute, and you can also rate about our session. There are 3-4 questions about the session, whether it is useful or how well did we organize it, and the presentation material which we are going to send you. All those can be evaluated, and of course the visual and the audio connection. Any comments or suggestion that you may want to provide. I also have another section for you to complete your assessment. So this is the key section for you to complete. It's like do it yourself. So we want you to try a Google Classroom by yourself. When you provide us this response with the Google Classroom that you created, uh, we will evaluate that, and an e-certificate will be delivered to your email on the successful evaluation. So the questions are like, you need to create a Google Classroom with a Google Meet and provide the class code. When I say class code, this is the class code that I want to show. Yeah, this is the class code. You need to enter this class code in this form. So capture and enter it here. And schedule a post for the future date with your class. So this post is, we mean this option. So schedule something, schedule some announcements, show us that you have completed it. And you may be wondering, how are we going to evaluate this? So evaluate your class. The option for us to do that is you will add us as one of the co-teacher. Add this email ID, eduRight.foundation@gmail.com, the classwork, sorry, in the people, as one of the co-teachers right here. You can add it. So that way we will see EduRight Foundation as one of the co-teachers in your class. And our suggestion is for you to add at least 5 student participants to your Google Classroom for you to get this evaluation going on, and create an assignment with a rubric, create the quiz assignments as the test. And I once again apologize here due to lack of the coordination that we had on the test assignment. I am not able to show that full grading, but the material which we are going to send you has the steps on how to set up that grading and the evaluation for the quiz assignment. So you will be able to see that. So finish the quiz assignment stuff and create a discussion forum for this student interaction. Uh, and we will please upload some materials for the class. Material could be a YouTube link or any offline file that you may want to upload. And again, one more thing that we want to see is setting topics and adding additional references from external link. So this way you are opening up the interactive the interaction with the World Wide Web to the students within your classroom. And make sure you are communicating and collaborating to the students via that comment box, what we saw within the classroom. Grades, evaluate the students through rubric option. Yes, you will see that option in detail in the PPT presentation, or you can also see that by yourself by some YouTube videos on how to set up rubrics for the Google if you have any doubts beyond that PPT material that we sent you. And use the import grade option. Also the manual grade entry, which this is also given in detail in the PPT that we are going to send you. You can go through that. The manual grading, we just saw a few minutes back about how to manually evaluate. And send the grade summary report to students via email. And a couple of general things that you want to do is set up a calendar for your class, and organize the Google Drive with the class materials and the share permission within your classroom or specific students. So these are things that we want to see. Um, yes, so that's pretty much about the assessment. Uh, we give you time until end of the month, June 30th, to complete the assessment. So by next month, we will assess, and hopefully by end of July, you should be able to get all your certificates. PPTs. Okay, now let's go to the question and answer session. We are already 17 minutes past our schedule. Still, I can stay for a few more minutes. I can take any questions. I see some questions now. Sorry, there are a lot of questions which pretty much went at the top. I'm going to randomly select the questions and answer from your chat. Where will we get the PPT? Will it be sent over email? Yes, we will be sending you the email. The PPT will be sent through the email. And I see a lot of comments saying it's informative. Thank you. That made my day. um, any other questions? unable to see submitted student work. The reason is now we did not submit every student work. That is the reason you are not able to see, but the PPT has information on how to see the submitted student work. So you can refer to that. Um, what else? Yeah, pretty much most of the questions are about the PPT, so we will definitely get it. Uh, so the session recording, you want to make sure it is available in YouTube. Yes, it will be available in YouTube after the session. You can use the same link. You can definitely come back and refer to the session. Time duration on the assignment. Yes, we saw we can set up the due date for the assignments. Can we release scores section wise? Release the scores section wise. I'm sorry, sir, I'm not able to get your question completely, but I assume that you may want to update one section of the rubric score and then have the section of rubrics show to the student. Is that how you want to do? But if that is the case, you will not be able to do. You need to complete the overall rubrics before you return that to the student. Okay, and one more question. Suppose the work is assigned for 2 p.m. and we assign it 5 minutes before the scheduled time. The student get access directly, link to be given. Could you show how it looks from the student side? Okay, if I just rephrase this question, if you schedule a classwork assignment, it will not be assigned to the student before the time that you specify. So the student will not be able to see it beforehand until the schedule assignment time kicks in. Okay. The code, will it be same as yours or different? Please let me know. No, the code, I mean, you're asking about the classroom code. The classroom code will be unique. It will not be the same. It will be different. Every classroom has a different code. Let me show some example. So this classroom, demo classroom, 5th standard, this one has a code of 6NU2XKY. The other classroom that I have is like 8th standard, and it's going to have a different code, 46CD4IR. So the class code is unique. That is the reason we want you to capture this class code in your assessment form that we send you. That way we would be able to log in and see each of your class code. Can't see the rubric button in my classroom. So Ms. Lal, I'm not really sure when you say you cannot see the rubric button. If you try to update, if you try to create a assignment or a question and come here, okay, I'm probably just talking about this as being grayed out. You need to fill the information to see the rubric button. Let me show that. Selected dude. Yeah, when I started filling the fields, it gives me the option to update the rubric. So it's on the go, you'll be getting this. Again, subject mathematics, as I said, unfortunately, it has to go through your old school methods. They may have to create and they may have to really write something on the paper and then upload it through this add option. Upload a link, write it, scan it or take a photo scan of it, upload it in the Google Drive, and then attach it here. Quiz assignments late. No, it's based on the timing that you set up. But if you're proctoring it, you will give a regular method, like you'll go with the regular method. Say if it's the quiz assignment, if you're setting up 2 hours, you're going to have the Google Meet session open and proctor that student and make sure they're completing in the 2 hours. If they don't complete in the 2 hours, it's done. Um, Yes, there are options to publish the grades. We pretty much covered that, how to publish. Of course, we did not complete the overall grading with some challenges that we faced, but the PPT, which I'm going to send it to you all, will have that feature. I mean, sorry, have that section included to see how the grading can be sent back to the student. Um, what else? Any other questions that I may want to pick here? Okay. Doubts, email me. Yeah, I can respond to your emails. You can definitely email us. But before emailing us, please go to this Google Classroom community and ask this question with the other experts, your fellow peer teachers in this community. The question would have already been answered. The issue would have already been resolved. So please look for that. The way you can go there is click on the question mark at the bottom left column of your classroom and click on this help community. It'll take you here. Ask here first. If you still don't find it there, please feel free to email us and our volunteers would be happy to assist you. Okay. Any more? I will take another 6 more minutes. Um, I can just go until 10:30 my time, which I believe in India time would be 9 p.m. We will continue for another 6 more minutes. If you have any questions, we can interact, and we will end it in another 6 minutes. Uh, Post the assignment in the chat box. Yeah, unfortunately, I will not be able to submit it here due to the format that we want you to respond back. So we will email you the link. So if you want this PPT, say if you are a user who just joined directly through this YouTube live link, and if you want the PPT and the assignments to be sent to you, please register yourself. Please register yourself at this link that we're going to post. Let me provide you the link. Yeah. This is the link that you want to register to receive the PPT and the assignment. Okay, interesting old school question. How to correct using pen manually, in Google Classroom? Okay, if you have stylus, yeah, I mean, there are some features that would allow you to use the stylus pen, a digital pen, and correct in the Google Classroom. But if it is an uploaded image, or if you just want to go back to your old school method, um, you still have to print that assignment response from each and every student and do that. But that would really be a cumbersome method for you to open up each and every assignment and print it. That would be like kind of a time consuming. We're trying to leverage the effectiveness and the speed of e-learning, but pen correction depends, right? If you have a huge volume, I personally will not do that. Um, What else? Any other questions? I'm scrolling through your questions to make sure that I'm covering as much as I could. Can a file be uploaded as a question paper? Yes, you can still upload question paper files in the classroom by going again here, create quiz assignment. And I assume that you have a question paper already printed and scanned, and the soft copy is somewhere in your Google Drive or at your local machine. You can use either of these and upload it. But remember, you may not be able to use the grade importing feature if it is manually scanned and uploaded question paper. Um, Even though the option is turned on, the feature may not work because it is a generic file. Unfortunately, the OCRs are not there. Okay, speaking of OCRs, there are other classroom extensions you can add it to your Google Classroom and the Google Meet. If you see these two icons that I have at the top, sorry, the StreamYard logo is blocking it. Let me minimize it. Okay, these two icons are pretty much the extensions that I used into my browser. So this extension is something like I can share everything within a classroom. I can share a reference material to everyone within the classroom through the extension. When I say extension, Google Chrome offers us extension. Let me just search and give you what I mean. Yeah, if I go to the web store, it gives me a lot of options. I can import any of those extensions. So this is what I meant. Okay, we are pretty much at the top of the hour. We have 1 more minute, and I would like to use the last minute to thank all teachers who have participated in this session. We got over 900 plus participants. Thank you all. As EduRight Foundation, we are committed in empowering the student and the teacher community. We will continue our service. And I want to thank our team of volunteers, um, Abhirami, Arun Kumar, Geeta, Ramu, Latika, and all my friends who made this session possible. Uh, so thank you, everyone. Please stay connected with us through our Facebook page. That is EduRight Foundation. You can find it like facebook.com/eduright.foundation. Please like us, stay updated with us, and we will connect with you all at a different session pretty soon. Thank you. Thanks for your time. Have a nice day and a good night. Thank you.